And each facet of our life will be covered, and that is all for the benefit of all of us. And we have a lineup of the most valuable speakers whose insights will help you to facilitate and make your life a better place. And today we have Deepa Purushottam, who will be speaking on parenting of teenage kids. And that is a topic that resonates with all of us. So without taking too much time, let me invite Deepa onto the platform and hear from her all that she has to teach us about parenting of teenage kids. And before I do that, let me just tell you a bit about her. She's a super curious soul with a deep interest in mystical science. As a mother of 2 teenage kids who are 12 years and above now, she has managed till now a very successful career in the banking sector and insurance sector. And now she has pushed herself further into the metaphysics, spiritual, and learning sector, which is most important for all our lives. Over the last 5 years, she has been helping people to expand their consciousness with the deeper concepts of energy and mind. And she will now be speaking on the importance of parenting our teenage kids. So let me just invite her on screen. 1 minute. So you do get some glitches when you, for some reason, thank you backend team for helping me because I could not get her on. Hello, Deepa. Welcome to the platform.
Good evening. Hi. Thank you so much.
And now I leave the floor to you. Please tell us all about that we can learn about parenting of teenage kids.
Thank you so much, Aarti.
Yeah.
All of us, thanks to Aatmn for giving me this opportunity to share my own learning and experience. Based on my experiences, if I can share with you and that helps you, then I'll be very glad. So I may not need to teach you how to parent your child, but I can share certain information based on science and certain information based on the spirituality, which you can club together and make this journey of parenting more comfortable and beautiful ahead. So as we are talking about teenagers, I am sure most of the parents of teenagers, they wonder that what has happened to my child on the moment the child turns 14, 15 or 16. The cute, well-behaved and even-tempered child suddenly changes into somebody whom they don't know. The child with whom they have spent a decade of time, but now suddenly the child seems to be alien to them. The commonest belief what we parents have is the teenagers, they are emotionally volatile because of their hormones. The another belief what we have is teenagers are rebellious. They just want to be different. They want to be difficult. So these are the certain beliefs what we carry. Now, I partially agree. Yes, hormones, they do play a role in their behavior. As we all know, in the onset of puberty, when they get into teen, the main sexual hormones that are for boys, testosterone, and for females, estrogen and progesterone gets activated. They were there in the childhood, but now in teen, suddenly the concentration becomes too high and the body does not understand what to do with it. Of course, these hormones do help them in physical changes. Like boys, they develop facial hair, the voice get thickened. The girls, they develop their breast and have the menstruation cycle. This is the role of hormones which plays in the physical appearance. But if you actually see, these hormones lies in the limbic part of the brain, which is the emotional center. And since the concentration has suddenly increased, the emotional, their response towards each emotion also increases. So the same hormones are also there in the adult, but the response towards the hormone or the response of hormone towards the stressful situations or some emotional events is completely different. What a teenager would react to a stress, an adult would react to a stress is totally different, because these teenagers have been just exposed to these hormones. So yes, if due to their hormones, their emotions are getting imbalanced, we can understand. But is that the only thing in that behavior? No. Before I share the very important information related to their brain circuit, let me share one diagram with you so that you can understand how the brain plays a role in teenagers. So, if you see this diagram on your screen, our brain has 4 lobes, like this temporal lobes, which are responsible for your emotions and auditory cortex. The top back parietal lobe, which governs the movements, and the lower back part of the brain, which again manages your motor and movement sensations. And this is the frontal lobe. If you see the purple part, the frontal lobe, which carries the 40% weightage of the entire brain. And if you see the frontal lobe, our human brain, when a child, all of us, we have parented babies. Now, when the baby is newly born, we feel some soft spot over here because the skull bones have not been joined. They take 1 year to join together. And when we take the babies to pediatrics, sometimes they measure their head because the brain of baby grows. Till 7 of the age, the brain keeps growing. The brain grows from back side to the front side. And at the age of 7, the brain is not completely grown. The teenagers, when they enter into the 12 or 13 years of the age, only 80% of brain has developed. Since it is coming from back to the front, the frontal lobe is not completely developed. Still the 20% to grow. And as I said, the process is too slow. It will keep growing till age 25. So if you think only the teenage is the years where your child is going to give you tough time, no. The college years are going to be even more difficult. Now, why so? The frontal lobe is responsible for the executive functions. Now, which are these executive functions? Your thinking, your planning ability, your insights, your decision-taking ability. All this comes through this frontal lobe, which is not developed in these teenage boys and girls. Now, if you look back with your children and see the problems, the most of the time we face problem in this area. Children are not able to decide, they are not able to plan, they are not able to follow certain information and instructions. The child who was easily doing in the age 6 to 10 now suddenly has stopped doing so. Behind this also there is biology. Why? Because there is something called prospective memory, which lies in this frontal lobe, which is not fully developed in these children. The prospective memory was active in age 6 to 10. So during those years, whatever instruction you give, they will follow, like brush, like flush the toilet after using it, switch off the light, switch off the fan. All those future actions they were doing in that age, but suddenly when they have entered in the teenage, they have stopped doing it. Why? Because this is the time the connection of this prospective memory is just cut off, which will again come back in the age 20, 21, 22. But teen years are the years wherein they do not have connection to the prospective memory. And that is why their planning ability, their decision-taking ability, that insights, their awareness, all that is missing in these children. And that is why we find, why are they behaving like this? So this is not only hormones, but biologically their brains are not developed to cope up with the surroundings. And if we see the competition today in this world, the family or friends or the school is not the only information giving institutes. The social media, the internet, everything is flushing in their mind, which they are not able to process. Physically, they look adult, but they are not. So expecting them to behave properly is not the right option because they are not capable of. So now the ball is in our court as a parent. We have to behave or we have to respond to them so that we can have a desirable behavior from their side. So now, how to do that? Most of the time, we as a parent react to the situation. Now, there is a huge difference between reaction and response or responding to them. Your reactions are impulsive again, just like them. If they are getting angry, you get angry on them. So that's a reaction. You have no control over your emotion. But if in the same situation, if you choose to respond, now response comes with emotional intelligence. Now, reacting out of emotion and responding through emotional intelligence, how it is different. So emotional intelligence is the art which needs to be developed. With emotional intelligence, when you respond, you know exactly what to tell your child, how to tell your child with a calm mind, in a positive manner, so that the child listen to it. But the key word here is the emotional intelligence can be applicable only if a parent has a calm mind. Now ask yourself, how frequently do we use our calm? And should we blame the hormones of the teenage for that? I guess no. When you go back and check, every time you have lose your calmness, what was playing in your mind? Ask yourself, am I taking enough care of myself? Because if you're not taking enough care of yourself, you tend to lose your calmness. If you are operating out of any kind of guilt, a guilty parent can never be a calm parent. If you are insecure in certain area of your life, be it your career, with in-laws, your spouse, or wherever, that insecurity is not going to allow you to become calm. So if you are constantly operating out of anger or the anxiety, you are not going to respond, but you are going to react. And as you know, the child doesn't have the capacity. The child's brain, teenager's brain is not developed completely. So expecting him to behave is not the option. But how can I respond out of emotional intelligence is something which we all can work upon. Now, as I said, emotions. Now, you may ask me that how do we figure out that what is bothering us? Because the teenager behaves in such a way that it upsets us and we get angry. So in that particular situation, ask 3 questions to yourself. Whatever you are reacting or responding in that situation, ask. Follow first. If it is anger, why am I angry? Recognize your anger all first. Then ask, do I need this anger? Why do I need it? Because the anger could be a defense mechanism, or anger is helping you to handling certain situation, because there is a belief if you shout or if you anger, the child is going to follow the instruction. But is it really needed? And the third, what if I don't operate out of anger, what will happen? So my resistance to let go this anger. If I'm not operating out of anger, what will it be? Because at times you may think the child is not going to listen to me. I may lose my importance. I may lose my authority. So anger, shouting, or being aggressive could be your defense mechanism. At the same time, if your parenting is fear-based parenting, for example, your child, let's take a real life case, what we generally come across in our clinical practice. So there was a parent who approached me, my child is just not focusing on study and making it difficult. He's all the time in sports activity and this and that. So what to do? How do I handle my child? So my first question to the parent was, when your child is not studying and focusing on sport, what is it making you feel? So the parent said, what is it going to make me feel? The child is not going to get good marks and he will suffer in his career and life will not be good and blah, 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 blah. So this is not what I feel is not important. What he is doing is important. You tell me some tips what I have to do with him. I said, no, my question will remain again. What is it making you feel? He said, fearful. Then I asked, my next question was, why? What is that fear all about? Go back and check, because all our emotions are based on the perception what we have towards life, towards situations. And these perceptions we have built up based on certain experiences, what either we might have gone through in life, or we have seen others going through life, or we might have heard from our surrounding, or the socio-economic conditions would have fit in our mind. That padna to padega nahi to life banegi nahi. There is no career if you don't study. What is that which is creating fear in you? After doing certain probing and the session went ahead, we could identify the parent himself was too much into sports when he was in his school days. He didn't pay attention to the academic. And later, he was very good at sport, but later the political environment then in his city did not allow him to prosper in the sports, though he was very good. So he already had grudges towards the entire system. And then that time, as a child, as a student, he decided that sports has nothing. It's not going to help you in life. I wasted the time. Sports is nothing one should waste time behind. If I would have spent that much time in academics, I would have done better. I could take 5 to 10 years to settle in my life. If had it been my academics good, I would have done much earlier. So that regret was there. Out of this entire situation, his regret, his failure, his grudge was playing a role in his parenting. Now today, when his child is involved in sports, he doesn't want to build any career in that. He's just enjoying his playing it. But his fear that he's going to feel bad about it in future, he may not score good marks, he may not do this. All this is constantly playing in his mind and is not allowing him to connect with the child or understand the child. So in this situation, clinically, what we advise is first you work on your regret. First you work on your fears. Be neutral with that. Be calm in that area of your life so that you can build a connect with your child. You can respond to your child in a calm way, in a calm manner. Similarly, we all need to go back and check, where are we vulnerable in our emotions? Take a pause before reacting towards your child, because they are the ones who are going to behave like this. At the same time, I'm just not telling you that you don't have to get angry or you just have to accept whatever they are doing. No, you have to be assertive in whatever you say, but that will come only when you have a calm mind. With disturbed mind, due to whatever emotions, you will not be able to respond to the child in a positive manner. So how do we control our emotions? So first step towards it to identify. Now I will request all of you, all those who are the parents of teenagers, take 2 minutes. Close your eyes and identify. What is it that is bothering me? You may write your answers in the chat box. As of now, if you have any question, you can ask me, and then I will share certain tips how you can manage your emotions overall and in the moment wherein there is a hard situation dealing with the child. But first, you have to identify what is it that is bothering you first. Someone is saying arrogance, financial instability. Okay. About their future and their securities. Very nice. Now, ask the second question. Why am I feeling this fear? First, you have recognized your emotion, that what is it? And now you have to recognize, why am I feeling this? If it is financial insecurity, why am I feeling this financial insecurity? What is my need to feel financially insecure? Because at times, our own attitude, for example, there are sometimes we are constantly driven by the fear of being judged by others. Sometimes our emotions are based on our constant need to compare ourselves with others. Sometimes it is lack, what we constantly feel, even though we have. For example, if I have a crores of rupees, I may think, oh, I don't have 10 crores and 10 crores are needed for a better life. Though I have crore, but if I'm constantly feeling lack in my life, I may have insecurity. So identify the reason behind your emotion. If it is financial insecurity, why am I feeling that? If it is future worry, why there is a future worry? What is my need? What is the reason behind this emotion? And just share your answers. And once you identify the reason behind it, the next question you have to ask yourself, what is stopping me to let it go? Where is my resistance? Because sometimes we all carry certain beliefs that helps us keep going in life. For example, if I'm not competing enough with others, I may not grow. So if I'm satisfied whatever I'm having, I may just get stagnant and I may not grow. So that is the time when we constantly keep comparing with others. The fear of the judgmental attitude. So many of us, we constantly judge others like, oh, can't she handle her child? She could have done this week. Oh, how can her child lie? Don't they do this or that with them? We are the one constantly keep judging others. And since we are judging others, we have a fear of being judged. That what if my child do something like that? And out of that fear, we'll be running behind the perfection. We want to do everything so that I don't have to face that judgment by others. But remember, what you resist, you persist. There is no escapism. So identify all those emotions, that what is your resistance, how whatever you are doing, how your need is helping you. If comparing yourself with others is helping you to grow in life, you're constantly going to compete, and that will reflect in your parenting. उसने इतना किया, तुमने क्यों नहीं किया? ये इतना कर रहा है, हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? You have everything, why can't you perform? And all that, right? So every time, whatever our response or reaction is, we have to identify that. We have to make a deal with our own self first. And why? Because our thoughts, our emotions, our behavior, basis on that, our overall energy, our aura is working. And whatever energy you are carrying, the universe is going to reciprocate accordingly. Whatever is your need, universe is going to bring the same sort of experiences in your space. So if my need is to compare constantly for growth, which I may consider a better or a positive thing to do in life, because I'm growing, right? End of the day, by comparing, I'm growing. But the same thing will come again and again. That loop will become a vicious cycle. Constantly, I'm going to feel lack, because always I'll face somebody who is better than me, so that I compare, I work hard, and I grow. Do you need this? Ask yourself and work accordingly. So whatever emotions they are bothering you, first make peace with those emotions, and then think about how I can maintain my mind calm so that I respond nicely to my child. Because now I know the fact that child is not capable enough. He is not physically fit to maintain his planning, behavior, and everything. His logical thinking, because that capacity he is not carrying right now. I, who have to constantly talk to my child, talking, and talking, that is only going to help during the teenage, because that holding information capacity, that executive function, they do not have. If you remember your own dialogues, most of the time we parents say that itni baar bola aur kitna bole, ab to chhod diya. No, you cannot leave it like that. You have to keep reminding them. That is why we play a very important role in their life. But when we keep reminding, that reminder goes out of anger. So why anger? Work with that. So the same thing, I should be able to communicate with the calm mind, then only my child is going to listen to me. Otherwise, the gap is continuously going to get increased, and that is not a healthy sign. Because a child and a parent relationship is based on love, acceptance, and unconditionality. But somewhere, most of the time, the conditions play a bigger role. And these conditions, obviously, those conditions, what we feel as a parent is for better for the children. But those conditions are based on somewhere our lack, our failure, our guilt, our regret, which is constantly bothering us. So my request to all of you is to first make peace with yourself, work on your emotional imbalances, so that with calm mind, you can respond with help of your emotional intelligence to your child. Any questions so far? And then I will tell you how to handle your emotion, which all way you can handle the emotions. So let me just look at the chat. Okay. So far you all have shared your emotions. Any questions so far what I have, whatever we have talked about so far? No, not an issue. So all of us, like, see, if the parenting tips is something what you are looking forward right now, I'm not here for that, because there are so many parenting tips available on the internet these days, on the social media. Entire social media is flooding that tell your child to talk to your child in so and so manner, so that child will listen. But if the mind is not calm, all those tips you're not going to follow. So two ways we are going to handle our emotion. One, in that moment of fight. Now, why I'm using this word fight? Because we actually get into the boxing ring with our children. So the first request I'm going to do is, please choose your fights carefully. There might be certain things which are harmless, just like some boys, they want to grow their hair. Girls want to wear certain types of clothes. All these are not going to remain for life. These are not harmful to their character and mind. So just don't stretch on those points. But there are certain points which are necessary. There you have to be assertive. So the moment the heat arguments are going on and you're just about to burst out of anger and aggression, the first technique what you can apply on yourself is simply breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. This is the fastest relaxation technique. It will drift your mind on the positive side, on the calmer side, rather than just going into their game and keep arguing, shouting, and that leads nowhere. So the first thing in that moment, what you're doing to go simple, breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. For that, you may close your eyes, you may not close your eyes, you may do. Now that will become very usual, but you can make it as subtle as possible. For example, if I do right now, you will not even get to know whether I'm breathing through nose and breathing out through mouth. Right? So while I'm doing this, what am I doing in my mind? Whatever emotion is getting over my head at that time, which is not helping, I'm just breathing out through my mouth. The most important advantage would be in that moment, you will not further drift the entire discussion or fight in such a negative zone that there is no comeback. बच्चे ने दरवाजा बंद करके अंदर चला गया, आप इधर चले गए. No, we don't want that this situation to happen. We want that connect with the child. So the emotional intelligence also tells you to show empathy. So you can always, if the child is angry, for example, teacher said blah, 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 and I'm so angry. The first response, tu nahi kuch kiya hoga. Generally, we parents do that. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tu nahi kuch kiya hoga, pata hai tu hi aisa hai type. So we constantly tag them. In that situation, if we say, oh, I understand. But what do you think? Why teacher would have behaved like this? But to come out of this response, first you have to handle your emotion within. So if there is anger or anxiety or panic or aggression in that moment, you can immediately take a pause, have a couple of breath out, calm your mind, and then respond. It is definitely going to help you to connect with your child. And I may not teach you how to talk because you know your child and you can do it better. But just before that, taking a pause, calming your mind is definitely going to help you. The second thing is we have to be constantly aware of the words what we are using. That is something which you need to be practicing on a daily basis. The same thing can be communicated positively. So for example, if the child is getting irritated, don't shout, don't angry. No. We can choose the words like, oh, we can talk peacefully, talk nicely, calm down, like that. You want to do, the end result is same. When you are saying don't get angry, you want him to calm down. Then why can't we say calm down straight away? Why? Because whatever words we are using, the emotions we are generating accordingly. And basis on emotion, the energy, entire focus is going there. Wherever we focus on whichever words they are getting energized, then eventually that get manifested. So if I'm constantly focusing on anger, don't shout, don't show your aggression like this, my entire focus is there and that is getting multiplied, that is getting energized, that is getting more and more manifested. Rather, if I'm focusing my energy on calmness, politeness, being humble, that area I am energizing and eventually that is being manifested. Because why? We all know children, they do what they see. So while saying being humble, being polite, I am doing that. I'm projecting a good example for child to learn, rather reacting out of aggression. So the one word, emotional intelligence, but it plays a very vital role when it comes to parenting. And not only parenting, I would say it will play a vital role in every relationship, right? But the other relationships where the authority plays a role, we somehow manage. Like in front of boss, in front of in-laws or some other authority figure, even if we want to react, we respond. But when it comes to teenager, our kids, we just take them for granted. So my humble request to all of you to work on your emotion, whichever technique. This is the one technique what I have shared. The another fastest and most effective technique is to use soul's love technique. We at Redikall, the soul's love is there in our blood. So how to do that? Just pick up your emotion. As I shared before, that you have to identify first recognize your emotion and then say, for example, if you are constantly feeling insecure for whatever thing, be it your child, financial or future, whatever insecurity, how am I going to control, work on that is, the insecurity is my soul's love. Now the word soul's love, when we use this word soul's love, we are connecting that particular emotion with the frequency of love. And the frequency, whatever you handle with love, is beautifully settled in life. Right? Soul's love, when we say, as per our soul's plan, whatever is needed, accordingly, the entire situation is going to fit into our life. So when we say, the first statement, what we are going to use is, this insecurity is my soul's love. The second statement, what we are going to tell ourselves, this need for insecurity is my soul's love. As I shared earlier, you have to identify, why do I need this? When you keep reciting this statement, your mind will tell you the answer, that what is the need for you to keep this insecurity. And when you say, my resistance to let go this insecurity is my soul's love. When you repeat this statement, your mind will throw the insight that why are you holding on this insecurity? How this insecurity is helping you. And with that insight, awareness, expanded consciousness, the same situation or problem you can solve in a better way. Because when you are aware of it, when you are calm, the higher frequencies are there to help you. We have always learned from Aatmn that you have to keep your connection with the cloud consciousness, that GPS should be always active. But that activeness is based on your calm mind. Right? So use this Soul's Love technique. To know more about Soul's Love technique, you can visit Aatmn.com. You can download a free ebook is available there. You can read it. Almost all the emotions, how to handle that has been described over there. What you have to do is you have to spare 10 to 15 minutes a day for yourself, and whatever emotions you feel, okay, these are the emotions which are bothering me, just place that emotion in those statements and keep reciting. We do say that 7 to 21 times a day, but don't indulge yourself much into counting, but feel this. Recite this with all emotions. Let your mind flow and become aware. Let those insights come out, because when we indulge yourself in counting, we little bit drift. 5 हुआ, 7 हुआ, 8 हुआ, no, ज़्यादा बोल दिया तो क्या हो गया? नहीं ना? So 10-15 minutes, put alarm in your mobile and keep reciting. That way you'll become aware of your own thoughts, your own emotions, and you can handle them better. The more and more you recognize and recite this soul's love statements, you will feel the neutrality in the emotions. And the moment you feel neutral in your emotion, your response is going to change. Because we have also learned from Aatmn at Redikall all the time that people, places, possibilities, they are not your problem. But your response towards them makes them as a problem. So when you change your response, the same people, person, or possibility are no more a problem to you. You will perceive them altogether differently with calm mind, because now you are aware of your own thought, your own need, your own resistance. So again, I would repeat the 3 statements that, for example, insecurity. This insecurity is my soul's love. My need for this insecurity is my soul's love. And my resistance to let go this insecurity is my soul's love. Here I'm using insecurity. You may use your fear, guilt, regret, sadness, worries, whatever which is bothering you. I'm requesting you use these statements for next 7 days at least and experience them. How you are finding that calmness and peace in yourself. To explore it more, you can also visit Aatmn.com and book a free appointment there and get a counseling. There is no harm in taking external help and manage your emotions. So, Aarti, I guess I have shared whatever I have planned to share in such a short time frame. There's a lot more what we can talk, but right now, if they have any specific question, we can answer that first.
So, thank you very much, Deepa. That has been very insightful. And I must say that all of us here who have heard you will merely relate to not only your content, but the way you say it. It was so calming, so soothing, and so peaceful. And I'm sure everybody agrees with it. So thank you very much for that. I would be saying, that we are blessed to have you with us, and you are our soul's love. Redikall is all the more better with having you with us. Thank you so much. And for all the people, can the backend put me back on the spotlight with her, please? Thank you. So the questions, of course, were not coming because they all understood completely what you said. And as you said correctly, they can go to Aatmn.com, get their appointments there, and fix it with a facilitator and get the benefit of Redikall. And for any questions that may be coming later, we may be taking your help to help them get answered by you. Yeah. So thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you so much.
Aarti, Navina.
Okay, I'll just check the questions right here. Oh, yes. There is a question from Navina which says, how to handle child and myself when my teenager is bullied?
Okay. So I guess this is a very common situation which is faced by many of the parents these days. So as I earlier shared with you, all of us ask then when my child is bullied, what am I feeling? Okay. Because if your child is being bullied and that is making you vulnerable, first get neutral there. Identify that emotion when the child is bullied. What do you feel? First, get neutral with yourself. Once you are neutral in your space, that you can connect with your child and ask what he is feeling when he's bullied. What is his need for facing this bulliness from others? And what is the resistance to let go this, vulnerability that people are coming and bullying? You can also tell your child to recite these statements because these are very benign statements that my need to get bullied is my soul's love. This bulliedness is my soul's love. My need to get bullied is my soul's love. And my resistance to let go this bully people in my life is my soul's love. Let him repeat this. This will make him also neutral, all of us in the emotion. And only when you become neutral in these emotions, whatever fearful emotion might have generated out of the bulliness, then you will get the positive response towards this, that how I can manage myself so that I'm not bullied. How I can present myself with confidence so that I'm not bullied. But first and foremost, get neutral with those negative emotions and get to the calm mind. Then only we can connect to the GPS and we can perform the way we want it to be. I'm saying, Navina, you first experience this with Soul's Love technique. See how change and how different reactions you're getting from your child and the people around him. And then we can connect again.
So I hope, Navina, your question is answered and you'll be able to take care of it. And thank you, Deepa, for that input again. And we all look forward for all our participants to have the same way of speaking and the calmness that Deepa has shown us today for all of us with our children so that they benefit as they are growing. So thank you, Deepa.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.